Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the book review. Guys, okay, so this morning, I won't go into like the full thing, but it's just been a morning, okay? I mean, now it's going on 4 o'clock, but like I had plans to film this morning, I had everything ready to go, and then I woke up and the devil came to play today. Let's just say that. But I really wanted to film this video and I want to have a video to put up tomorrow, so we're going to film it. But just to say, it was nuts. One thing I do want to note, since you'll see this video before you see my weekly wrap up, I do have a new little product in the Etsy shop and I'm kind of obsessed with these. They're so cute. They're really simple, but they're these cute little like trinket half boxes, trinket trays. I don't know what to call. I've called them trinket trays on the Etsy, but they're these cute little fabric like bowl type things that I made. And I have some fun different patterns. This one has Harry Potter, but they're just cute. They're nothing overly complicated or like over the top, but they could fit your rings, or like I have lip balm in mine by my bed. They could fit your jewelry. I also have one by my sewing machine that I put my like clips in it. And so these are in the shop, as well as because it's my birthday in 10 days, everything in the shop is 18% off until my birthday on the 18th. So almost 20%, but I thought that would be cute because I'm weird like that. So definitely check that out. I also have some new designs that went up earlier this week. And the way I'm doing it now is I'm only going to do about 2 or 3 of each design, just to kind of like give myself less stock that piles up. I know that's something I've run into, but anyway, just want to get that out of the way. And then the final thing to say before we get into what this is that this video is actually sponsored by my channel members. Once a month, my channel members get to vote on a video that they want me to do. And this one, I actually was really surprised because the ones in the poll, I was sure the other one was going to win, which I won't tell you what it is because I'll film that one when I have the time. But this one is Redemption Arc, and that is what we'll be doing today. So this was actually suggested on a video, and pardon me, I did not write down the name of this, so I apologize who did. But there was also like one person who actually mentioned the name of someone when I did the villain gets the girl video, which you guys all really loved, which I love too. I love it. And there was someone that was mentioned, and I told them, I was like, actually, that hero has a redemption arc. The point of the villain gets the girl is that they don't necessarily have a redemption. They're like bad the whole time. And there's characters as well that they start as the bad boy, or, you know, they've done something maybe in a previous book in the series that really upset us or hurt one of the previous protagonists, and they get their chance at a love story. And that's what this one is going to be about. And so maybe you guessed it if you're one of my longtime readers or you're a love of historical romance, but one of the most beloved and well-known redemption arcs in a historical romance is Sebastian St. Vincent in Devil in Winter. This is, I mean, he's the hero. He makes so many of the books connected to this just that much better by him being in it. And if you've read any of the books with Devil in the title, it's either about St. Vincent or about one of his kids. That's why Devil will be in the title. So if you see Devil, it means that they're related to him somehow. But this is the 3rd book in the Wallflower series. And it's so fun because I remember when I read this series, I had heard people just go on and on and on about St. Vincent. Like, he's the one, he's their favorite Clay Pest hero, he's the best, he's amazing. It was either him or Derek Craven. Those are the 2 people are going on and on about. And then when you read book 2 in this series, he does something really bad. Like, not even could be considered charming or rapscallion. Like, he does something bad that could have had horrible consequences for particularly the heroine in the previous book. And so but some of my friends who loved him so well, like I knew they wouldn't like someone who was like stayed bad, right? And that's when we get this story, which is St. Vincent. And so we have Evie in this one, Evie Jenner, and she has family that is awful. Her father is dying, and so her family is really running roughshod over her. She is a little bit more shy. She has a stutter, and she is going to be pushed out. And so she actually has a proposition for St. Vincent because he needs money. And that was part of the reason why he was causing problems in the previous book. And she needs someone who is in charge of her, right? Because if you get married, now your husband's in charge. And she needs someone who's in charge of her that will get her away from her family. And they won't be able to force her to marry someone else. You know, so it's that kind of thing. It's definitely a marriage of convenience. But really, this marriage becomes the making of St. Vincent, okay? Like, he's already charming. He's a rogue. He's a rascal. But marrying Evie was the making of him, and watching him start taking responsibility for things, start caring about people other than himself, and I mean, of course, falling in love with Evie, because after, you know, after they're married and they're together, she's like, I'm like not gonna let you have access to my body just because we're married. I married you so that I like wouldn't have to do that, and she's going to like keep him away from her until he stays celibate for 3 months, because she's like, you're going to be faithful to me if we're going to do this. So he's got to stick around without getting some ass, basically. But this is just such a beautiful story, and I mean, I completely understand why he's a lot of people's favorite hero. He is for me on some days, but I do love a lot of Lisa Kleypas men. But anyway, he had to be the first one I mentioned in this video. Again, I did have a few people saying villain gets the girl. And while I don't totally disagree, because he is a villain in book 2, he was never rotten all the way through. He was someone who, he definitely had potential, and we see that happen in this book. So that is why St. Vincent is in the redemption arc video for this. So can you just read this book as a standalone? You could, but then you wouldn't see the villain that he was before, or like what he was before. So if you start with Secrets of a Summer Night, that is the first one. And then I can't remember the second, but it's autumn is the second, then winter, and then spring. So definitely check those out. Okay, next we actually have one that is called Redemption by Noelle Adams. And this is a part of the Worthington series. And this one actually has a woman who gets a redemption arc. So she's not a villain or anything, but she definitely was a spoiled rich girl. And when she was younger, the Worthingtons are very wealthy. This whole series is about them. This is one you can read as a standalone. These all work well as standalones. But she had gotten herself into the party lifestyle, spending daddy's money, making lots of mistakes. And the family had bodyguards. And one of the father's bodyguards, one of the family bodyguards, she ends up begging him for help because she's drinking too much. She's had herself be with some men who aren't good for her and put herself in dangerous situations. And she knows that she's not going to be able to stop on her own. So she asks him for help. And he gets her into a rehab, helps her get better. But then they don't see each other for a few years, because once she gets out of rehab, she really takes a quieter life. She's very serious about her sobriety and serious about staying on the right track. And so she doesn't really need like bodyguards anymore because she stays out of it. But now there are some threats to her family's life. And so this bodyguard, I know I'm just using him and her because I forgot their names. I'm sorry. Too many names. I didn't write them down. But he gets assigned to her again. And in fact, he's living in her home with her as like the full-time bodyguard. And then there's men who will like switch out with him when they need to. But now they're living just right across the hall from each other. So that's going to make things interesting. But I like this one. It's definitely a softer type of redemption. A few of these are going to be that. Not all of these are, because again, this isn't villain gets the girl. It's just the character arc is about, you know, either proving that they've really changed or showing how they're better. That's kind of where I'm going with this. And that's definitely the case for this heroine who she's really kind of showing him how. And it's really beautiful to see. A lot of Noelle Adams, aka Claire Kent, if you didn't know, are much subtler stories than some others you might read. And they're usually pretty short too. Like, I feel that she's able to get to the point of what this is about so much quicker than some other authors do with fewer words. And I really admire that so much. Okay, then we actually have a kind of monster romance that I think has a bit of a redemption arc, and that is Shots and Barbs by Lily May. Now, this wasn't one that I was absolutely head over heels for, and part of it actually was because I just didn't really care for this hero too much. But that's okay because he does have a redemption here. And the reason why he kind of needs it is that the hero from the first book was his younger brother, and they are this kind of monster, as you can tell from the picture. I forgot what that, demiurges? Haha, I remember. I think they're called demiurges. And he was actually pretty much a bully to his younger brother. And he wasn't just bullied by him, but because he's an older brother, like his family kind of, you know, they also kind of bullied him, and that is his story to tell in the first book. But what we see in this one is that he gets paired with our heroine. They're actually working on, I think, like a design or remodel design building project together, and they have this like sexy dislike of each other that turns into kind of some hate fucking, which isn't really hate fucking, but anyway. And this one also has like pegging, and it has a femdom sometimes. She's very like, it's not all the time. She isn't like whipping him up all the time, but it's just really beautiful to see when he becomes aware how much he hurt his brother, because in his mind, he didn't see himself as bullying his younger brother. He saw him as, you know, encouraging him and, well, not encouraging him, but trying to push him to be better. And again, you know, that didn't really work. It just came across as him feeling belittled and not like he was enough. So there's some very beautiful scenes in this one where he comes to those realizations and, you know, actually asks forgiveness and tries to fix the relationship with his brother. And it was one of the best parts of this book in my mind because, you know, it just was so real. Like that happens in life, the way that we perceive how we're treating someone versus how they take it. And how that might like mess them up for a while too when we're careless with it. And so, yeah, I think that is a really powerful story there. Okay, next, this one, not everyone might not see how this is, but of course I'm going to explain my side of it. But I decided to throw in Resting Witch Face. And in my opinion, I think that Ruben has a bit of a redemption arc for his relationship with Jules. So this is a second chance romance. I go back and forth, but honestly, this is my favorite in the series. If I had to, you know, arrow to my heart, pick one, I think it would be this one. And of course, here's some beautiful art piece from it. Lovely. So Ruben and Jules, Ruben's a vampire, Jules is a witch. She is also is she enforcer? Is that what it's called? I can't remember what it's called, but she basically is like a head of a like paranormal body in the in New Orleans, and Ruben's the head of the vampires. She's the head of kind of all of it, and they are going to be meeting with other councils through Europe to push forward some change that they're trying to effect for werewolves, because werewolves have really been cut out of it, and because they're seen as cursed and they're seen as lower. And you know, now Jules has a brother and two brothers-in-law that are werewolves, and she has niece and nephews that are half werewolves. So she really cares about this. And Ruben is just, he's so great. But anyway, we find out finally, after it's been teased through the series, you know, you should read this series in order, just warning you, that these two dated, and in this book, we eventually find out why they broke up. This was 12 years ago that they had a relationship. And there was something that Ruben did that betrayed all of her trust. And so that distrust led to them breaking up. And it led to her pushing him away and really putting up this wall and seeing him as kind of an enemy. Someone she needs to work with because of the position that he has, but also someone that she doesn't want around her. And so when they're forced on this road trip together, we, number one, learn that Ruben has been waiting for this opportunity to, you know, push for them to be back together. He's tired of waiting, and he's ready to be with his mate, because that's the thing. I mean, this whole series is fated mates. So, you know, he's known that she was his mate and had to just wait for 12 years, you know, which again, he is a vampire. His life is long, so he can wait, but it's also just agony to have to wait. Yeah, it's just beautiful. But once we see what he did, it is understandable why she felt she had to push him away. And though some of it, you know, you wish they would have fixed it sooner, I can understand why she felt she was putting her family and her job at risk if she couldn't be impartial when it came to Ruben. So for me, again, this is a smaller, softer thing. It's more about them both having to come back together. And there is some realizations that Jules has to make too, but I think the redemption, if there is one, is definitely more on Ruben's side. And I love that. I love it. I think this is done so well. I'll talk about Juliet Cross till my dying day. Okay, then I have one. We don't have to talk about it for too long because I talked about this book ad nauseum last year, and that's Forever Your Rogue by Erin Langston. This one should be easy for you to tell if you've known. This book is about Cora, who is widowed and she has 2 young children, and her dead husband's in-laws are trying to take her children away because they can make a lot of money off of being in control of the heirs' money. And she actually has split guardianship with them, and they have more of the power because she is a widowed single woman and they are a married couple, and they are able to exert more control than she can, you know, which is very sad to see. So she enlists Nate to help. So Nate actually owes her a favor. He is the brother of her best friend, and she needs him to fake date her, you know, basically be fake engaged to her so that she can convince a court and can convince these in-laws that she's on her way to having another husband and will be a stable place for her kids. Now, this wasn't the smartest gambit to make, I won't lie, because it's like, well, what if they just wait you out? Like, if you break up with Nate, then you'd be single again. And are you really going to follow this all the way through to marriage, right? Like, how are you going to do this, right? So I really loved watching these two. You know, Nate really doesn't want to help. He wants to continue his rakish ways. He has caused his older brother, who was kind of his guardian when he was young, no end of trouble. And Raymond is really at his wit's end with him. He's ready to cut him off because he needs to do what's best, you know, for the rest of the family and what's best for Nate. So Nate, he's a rake, he's a rogue. He still is a, you know, a genuinely good man inside, but it definitely takes coming face to face with someone who, you know, a lot of the drama in his life, a lot of the stuff in his life is stuff of his own making. He wouldn't be in these situations if he didn't put himself there, if that makes sense. So it is hard to, you know, it's hard to see that, but it's also really beautiful when he starts to wake up and see what's at stake for Cora, and also that he doesn't want to be who he's been before. He finally has something to fight for and something to get himself in line for, and it's just beautiful to watch that because, as in any good single mom romance, he doesn't just fall for her, he falls for the kids too. And I mean, that might just be the sweetest thing. All right, then this is one that I maybe could have put this in the villain gets the guy, but I wanted to include an MM romance in this one, and I couldn't really think of one I wanted to use. So this one maybe should have been in the villain gets the guy instead of, like, you know, this one, but I'm putting it in here. So I'm putting Mafia Target in here. Because this one is about an assassin who he's supposed to kill the head of the Sicilian mafia, but he gets distracted by his beautiful younger son, and then eventually he gets sent to kill him, and Alessio just is having a tough time with that, and they actually in the beginning hook up at a club before they ever know, like, who each other are, and now they're both kind of obsessed. So Alessio is stalking Giulio. I mean, he's supposed to be killing him, but he also just doesn't want to take his eyes off of him. And so they come together in kind of this explosive meeting, and, you know, Alessio has decided, like, this is the one job he's not going to be able to do. And, you know, is he going to be able to give up the life that he's known to have this man who he's just obsessed with? So this, as I said, maybe could have fit more with Villain Gets the Guy, but I do think that Alessio finds something to live for, finds something other than money that he wants, and finds a family with Giulio. And so I put it in here, but feel free to interchange it, whether you think it should be with Redemption Arc or you want to put it in with Villain Gets the Guy. I think it works both places. Okay, then I have one that is a bit of a, like, misconception that she needs a redemption, but we're going to put it there anyway. So I actually picked Caution to the Wind by Gianna Darling. And this one actually has May, who is in love with her friend's stepdad, who's Axel. And Axeman is what he ends up being, I think is the name. Yeah. And we see in the past, which is like the beginning of this, some shit goes down in, I think it's Entrance is the name of the town. I can't remember. But he actually was a part of like a different like biker association in the beginning of this book. And then when things went crazy, things that are happening during that time happen before some of the other books do. And then when we come back into this one, which is it 10 or 7 or 7 years later? I can't remember how many years later. He had actually went to prison for something that she did. And then she just disappeared and he didn't know why. And so now he hates her and doesn't want her around. But his stepdaughter, who he dearly loves, she's going through a tough time and May wants to be there for her. And so he just has to deal with her being there. And there are some things she needs redemption for, but there are also some things that weren't in her control. And so being able to like explain to him what happened and what she's been doing is very important to her. But also some of the things she's doing now are to make up for how bad things got then. Now that she's older and stronger and smarter, she wants to get revenge not only for herself, but for her loved ones. So I thought this was very powerful. I love this. The audiobook is coming out soon. This is probably my favorite one in the series. I really, really liked it. And yeah, I just think it was so good. I thought it was well done. It was a slow burn, lots of good tension, and yeah, the reconciliation in this one it's sweet. It's very sweet. I love it. All right, then we have King of Greed by Anna Huang. Of course, we had to have this one. This one is also a second chance romance. I know a lot of these are second chance because sometimes one of the people needs a redemption arc to do it. So this is a beautiful book. I love this one. This is about Dominic and Alessandra, and they have been married for 10 years, and Dante has gotten, or Dominic, sorry. Dante's in the first one. She shouldn't have had 2 D's in one series, okay? Dominic has gotten so involved in his business, becoming a billionaire, focused all on that, that he has been neglecting his bride, his wife, who he loves. He has not lost 1 ounce of love for her, but in wanting to provide for her, like he's done it. He's done it. They started together when they were in college and they barely had any money to their name, and now they're here. But in the pursuit of being here, he has neglected his wife, and that is just unacceptable to her because she knows how great their love is, and she refused to settle for, a paltry bits of it. She's not going to stand for the scraps. So when he misses their 10th anniversary vacation, he's late, she leaves and she files for divorce. And he is just absolutely horrified that he let it get to this place. And he's willing to do whatever he can to get her back, even if that means letting her go for a while so that he can re-strategize and come up with a new plan. But this man's sole occupation becomes getting his woman back and proving that he won't fall into the things that he did before. And I thought this was so successful at doing that. This was so good. And for being a married couple, or I mean, this almost felt like a slow burn because it's like a slow, let's describe it this way. They were a hot bonfire that was everything when they were young, and that fire has went out. So we're rekindling, we're smoldering again. And I thought this was so well done. This is probably my favorite Anna Huang, maybe tied with Twisted Games. I really like that one too, but definitely great. You can read the ones in that series as a standalone as well. So you can start with Twisted or King of Greed if you want. Okay. Then we have These Two Wrongs by Jay Wolf. So this one has kind of some redemption in 2 different ways. So this is actually, I've been going on about Jump on 3, which just came out, which was a 6-star read for me. These Two Wrongs is the book before that. And this is the book that I think you need to read before you can read Jump on 3. So I kind of wanted to highlight it in a video to talk about it. I, of course, think you should start with just save one thing, but you know, if you aren't trusting yet, you're not sure, you could start with these two wrongs. But this one, we have Reese. And again, I can't remember the heroine's name right now. It'll maybe come to me as we're talking. But so he has a roommate who is a total player. And this roommate wants to get with Evelyn, actually. And Evelyn, she's a virgin. She hasn't done much with boys at all just because of, you know, being neurodivergent and not wanting to touch too much, not wanting to be close to people, not, you know, wanting to make herself vulnerable that way. But he wants to pursue her. And so to get the twin sister out of there, he asks Reese, his roommate, to distract her. So yeah, his job is to distract her. And so Reese agrees because he's offered some money. And now a lot of people at this prep school do have money. Of course, not everyone does. A lot of people do. But he doesn't have extra money. He's kept on a very tight leash. And there's someone in his life who needs money. So he agrees to do this. He doesn't actually plan to do everything this guy wants him to do. He's just like, well, I'm going to get him some money, and then if it doesn't work, I'll already have it, and it'll be too late. However, once he starts hanging out with her, he's really attracted to her. They're both really attracted to each other. So they end up hooking up. And for her, it isn't that great. He comes really quickly, which again, normalize this happening, especially with like almost teenagers. Like I think they're only 19 or 20. So, or no, wait, they're younger than that because this is a high school one. They're like 18, 17, 18. So good on, you know, like that's okay. But for her, it's just not great. So they hooked up. He can't stop thinking about her. He can't wait to distract her some more. And she's just kind of like, meh, he was pretty, but he didn't live up to it. So that's how she feels. So then she doesn't want to talk to him. She's ignoring him. And he's like, what is happening? Why am I getting like ignored? You know, he just feels so weird. So finally he just like, he confronts her and is like, why don't you want to hang out with me? What happened? And she's like, well, it wasn't that great. You didn't see to my needs. You were kind of selfish, and then it was done. And you didn't take care of me like that. And he is honestly a little bit like ashamed of it, not enough to like not want to try again. So he ends up asking her to teach him. He's like, well, I don't want to continue to be bad. How about you teach me to be better? And this will serve double purpose because now they can spend some time together. He'll distract her and he'll learn to be better at sex. So I really liked this one because it is definitely a he falls first. It's a friends with benefits. It's teaching him good sex. Like I love all those things in this. And again, it really sets up Jump on 3 because not only was Evelyn being pursued by someone else, in this one, the sister actually has a thing for Ivan. And so you see that play out, and like Ivan definitely doesn't have anything for the sister. He wants Evelyn like the whole time, but you know, because of the sister like wanting to go out with Ivan, it causes some problems in the next one for them. So this is a great one to start with. I want Jay Wolf to get all the love. You know, we stan Jay Wolf on this channel. And, you know, I know new adult doesn't always work for everyone, but I'm telling you, Jay Wolf, she writes some of the swooniest men you have ever read. Okay. It's fantastic. So highly recommend. Okay. Then we have Don't Forget Me Tomorrow by A.L. Jackson. You know, I have to show off these beautiful books when I can. You know, I'm so lucky that I got PR boxes for these. Look at this cover. So this is a small town. This one's a single mom. This one is a best friend's sister or sister's older brother. I think it's best friend's sister is this one. But yeah, the heroine of this one, she's a single mom. She owns a little restaurant, a diner type place, and she's making her way. And then our hero, he's been, you know, I can look at the names for this one, I'm sorry, Dakota and come on, give me a man chapter, and Ryder. There we go. So Ryder, he actually used to be involved with a gang. And he was a part of that when he was young. And he's been trying to get out of it. And he mostly has got out of it. Except there's still people who know that he's in it. And so there are these great chemistry between Ryder and her. She actually ends up staying with him when there appears to be someone who's stalking her. She doesn't have a safe place to stay. I think that's what it is too. Sorry, now I'm like all bad. Yeah, someone's talking, someone tries to break into her home, and so now she's staying with him. And he totally wants her. He absolutely wants to be with her, but he can't until he deals with his past. And there are some bad things that he was involved in. He did do them. And so he really is paying the consequences of that. And part of those consequences are not, you know, maybe getting to be with the woman of his dreams. So these are really great. The audiobooks for this series are wonderful. You could read these ones out of order as well if you want to, although the first one is Love Me Today, and I love that one too. Okay, then we have another kind of like femdom one, and that's actually Mercy. And I think this one is a great one to put in redemption arc because we kind of hate Beau when we first meet him. So the first book in the series, Praise, is actually an ex-boyfriend's dad. Now Beau is the ex-boyfriend, and his dad was the one that Charlie gets with, okay? And he was kind of a douche back then. He cheated on her. He, you know, just wasn't being a great boyfriend, and you know that leads her to getting with his daddy because they end up having to meet up and everything that happens there. So now it's a little while longer, and Beau has not exactly been supportive of his dad owning a sex club. He just thinks that it's wrong. He doesn't understand. He thinks it's kind of gross because he doesn't get it. And then there is Maggie, who is she's the female owner of Salacious Players Club, but she doesn't actually have a kink, or she hasn't tried before. And so one of the things that goes along with the Salacious Players Club is there's actually an app where you can both take the kink quiz, and then you can be like, you're shown like what some of your kinks are, and you can be paired up with someone for a date. And so through different friends picking on them and teasing them, they actually both take this quiz and they get paired with each other. And so, you know, she's like, you know, maybe I should try out my kinks. Like, I see all my friends acting out what they love. Maybe I will like something. And she is put as a femdom and a brat tamer and some other things. And Beau actually got submissive and that he is a brat and all these things. And he's like, what? There's no way. But he's also like, hey, there's someone that I could be paired with. Well, maybe I do want to see what this is all about. And you know what? I appreciated that he was willing to do that because he does love his dad. And yeah, he thinks it's a little weird that Charlie's with his dad, but like he does want a relationship with his father. Although again, bonding over a sex club might be an interesting way to do that, but whatever. So he agrees to meet this person. And when they meet and they realize who each other are, they're like, fuck, this can't happen. But Beau is like, well, I really want to explore this and we seem to be a perfect match, so why don't we do it? So he does have to convince her a little bit, but they both end up doing this. And what is beautiful about this one is we do see a change in his thinking so much, and I love watching it happen and, you know, where he's able to get to, not only because, I mean, now he has a hot woman who is pegging him and teaching him sexy things that they're discovering together. I love that. They're discovering it together. But also, you know, he comes to understand something and he realizes how he was wrong to think the way that he did before. And we love a man who can recognize it. So there we go. Those are my recommendations for a redemption arc. Please let me know some of yours. I know there are tons of them. Again, check out my video I made that was A Villain Gets the Girl. If you'd like to see some baddies who don't change their ways but still get the girl, definitely check those out. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. You can check out ways to support me down below. Check out the shop. We got some cute goodies, and we'll see you next time. Bye.